Winter, really not my thing. Hey folks, haven't done a vlog in a while and I know some people enjoy that. I would really like to do as bears do, you know, just hibernate until the worst of that crap is over and then come out later. But yeah, I can't afford that luxury, if you will. But granted, I hate summer too. Summer with its disgusting heat and even more disgusting bugs. That's not nice either. I'm really more of a fall guy. Spring is okay too. Although I have to grant winter that it has a couple of nice things about it. It can be pretty. Again, like I said, no bugs. That's good. And it's quiet. It's definitely the most quiet season, and that's nice. At least if you're more on the introverted side. If you're an extrovert and need that stimulation, yeah, it's probably depressing. But otherwise, okay. Anyway, I wanted to actually talk about a topic rather than just ramble randomly. And sorry about that. It was a bit difficult to get through. And that topic would be, of course, weapons. Why not? And the general reaction that you get from a lot of people who don't share that hobby. There is often a certain skepticism, you know. I'm pretty sure knife and sword enthusiasts and also gun owners have encountered that before. This kind of, what? You collect weapons? What's wrong with you? Do you want to kill someone? Are you a psycho? And all of that stuff, which, if you are into that kind of hobby, you know that it's nonsense, basically. For the most part, it is mainly based on ignorance, which, I mean, you can't really fault people too much for, because I can kind of see if you're if there's a community that you're not exposed to, if that's a hobby that you've never looked into, if you just lack information, you lack contact with people who are involved in it, so yeah, then it might be easy to jump to conclusions, you know. But the thing is that mostly the people who become violent, criminals and, you know, people who just snap, mentally unstable and whatnot, for the most part, those are not weapon collectors. For one, criminals can't really afford such hobbies. Okay, unless it's, you know, upper echelon criminal, if you will. You know, some higher tier drug dealers and whatnot and mafia types. So yeah, that may apply to some extent, but you know, for the most part, people who are violent and who have lack of moral standards that would keep them from harming people, those are typically the ones from poorly educated, low income households, from dysfunctional families and the like. Such people generally simply can't afford a hobby like that. And also, if you talk to actual weapon owners, most of them are perfectly reasonable people and law-abiding citizens. So there's really not much to worry about. I can see that somebody might be confused if they think that, oh, weapons are made to hurt people, to hurt and kill. That's the only thing they are good for, which is nonsense. It's simply not true. A weapon or any object does whatever you want it to. It's not possessed by an evil demon or something. You decide what to do with something. Of course, swords have been used historically to cut people's heads off and to skewer them, all kinds of things. Yeah, sure. But, you know, it all depends on the intent. You can use a scalpel to cut someone's throat or to torture someone, or you can use it to perform a life-saving surgery, you know. And some things have originated in the military for combat use originally, and then they were used by regular people for peaceful purposes. Like the Hummer, for instance. Military vehicle, originally. Now it's in civilian use. Or microwave. That also originated in the military. And it doesn't matter what it was originally used for. What matters is what you do now. That's what some people don't seem to get. And you can do many things with a sword or a knife or whatever. You can just collect them just for, as pieces of art or as pieces of history, just because you are interested in history and because you enjoy the art aspect of them. And swords and other weapons can be definitely pieces of art. I mean, just go into a museum where they have medieval arms. You will see some of them are truly remarkable works of art. Very decorated and very aesthetically pleasing. There is something about a sword in general that I think is aesthetically pleasing, or any steel blade. Well, not a kitchen knife, but to some people that would be art too. But maybe it's some kind of personal disposition that makes you able to appreciate the art aspect in those. But that is definitely a significant aspect. And then you can also have them for recreational use or sports. Like if you are interested in historical sword fencing like I am, and you may want to not only get blunt swords for training, just to practice historical martial arts. I mean, why do people practice martial arts? Not everybody who practices martial arts wants to use it for self-defense, right? There are plenty of people who do things like Aikido or whatever kind of martial art for meditative use or for aesthetic purposes or just fitness, whatever. There are many reasons. You won't jump to the conclusion, or you shouldn't jump to the conclusion, that every martial artist wants to hurt somebody or not even all of them want to use it for self-defense. And self-defense is a perfectly legitimate reason, by the way. I don't see why people don't get that. Like, everybody should be allowed to have means for self-defense. And some just say that, oh, just learn a martial art, then you don't have to use weapons. Seriously? You think your grandma will be able to defend against a large muscular thug? Really? With a weapon, I mean, it's not a magical device that just makes conflicts go poof, but the chances are at least there. You at least stand a chance. It's an equalizer. That's what it does. In combat, weapons do multiply force. So if you're physically inferior, you may balance that out with a weapon or a self-defense tool. In some cases, it's actually appropriate to call them tools rather than weapons, because weapons have these negative associations, especially assault weapons. Yeah, like a lot of people associate the term weapon with attack. They don't even seem to think about the word defense, which is pretty damn important. And yeah, sure, I've seen plenty of people who said that, oh, if you carry a weapon for self-defense, it can be taken from you and used against you. Well, if you argue like that, then there's nothing you can do, okay? If you have nothing, they can do whatever they want to you. If you have a weapon, they can use your weapon against you. Yeah, well, it's not necessarily gonna be that much worse. You can be raped, or you can be beaten with your own baton. Yeah. Or you can be raped with your baton. Nasty. People are nasty. But the thing is, it gives you a chance. Without it, you don't have the chance. And also, another thing that people seem to forget is that if you carry one, and whoever is considering to pick you as a target, and they see that you have one, or either you brandish it, or you just adjust your clothing to show it, or you just wear it openly if you're allowed to, or carry it rather, they may not pick you, because most people who are intent on harming some, or whatever, intent on assaulting another person, well, let's just say harming, because stealing something from another person is harming them too. So they usually want to pick easy targets. So if they see you're armed, they go, no, risk. They are not most people are not looking for a fight. They just, criminals, I should say. So that is definitely a considerable factor. And also, it depends on the weapon, whether or not it can be used against you. I mean, some weapons are extremely difficult to disarm, like a karambit, where you have the finger through the ring on one side. Very difficult. And also, I mean, we could have the technology to lock firearms, for instance, to the owner. You know, biometric scanner in the grip, things of that nature, could be made to work. And then you don't have to worry about that. And also, the thing is, even if people argue like that, like, oh, it can be used against you, and then it's a lot worse than if you didn't have one in the first place. Well, that's up to the individual to decide. And I think that laws should not just bar people from exercising their basic human right of self-defense. That is just ludicrous, unethical, irresponsible, and unjustifiable, in my opinion. It should be up to the individual person. If they choose to take the risk of, well, the risk of carrying one versus the risk of not carrying one, because there are risks associated with it either way. But it should be up to the individual person to decide, because you don't own their body, the state doesn't own their body or their life, so they should be able to take responsibility for it, take care of it, and protect themselves, because they do own themselves. So they should, if you will, be able to defend their property and use whatever it takes. Of course, some people will then ask, oh, well, where will it stop? Will you allow people to carry machine guns for self-defense? Yeah, I know. It was just mostly straw manning, but there's much to talk about. I just wanted to make this somewhat rambly vlog because, like I said, some people like it. So, there you go.